Hi everyone, my name is Allgemeine Guinness Delgado from BSHM 1103. Today, we are going to discuss on how to eliminate risk or hazard in the hospitality industry. But first of all, what is the difference between hazard and risk? Hazard, it is something that can cause harm, while risk, how great the chance that someone will be harmed by the hazard. Hazard is the source of potential harm or danger, or source of risk, while risk is the possibility that harm or injury might occur when exposed to hazard. Hazard in workplace such as chemicals, electricity, noise, and etc. While risk is the possibility of getting harmed after being exposed to chemicals, electricity, noise, and etc. While hazard may remain the same even if the risk is minimized. In order to eliminate risk, it is important to identify first the hazards. I'm going to show you some examples of hazard and risk. The 6 main categories of hazards or the common hazards in workplace: physical hazard, chemical hazard, biological hazard, and psychological hazard, safety hazard, and economic hazards. Physical hazards. Physical hazards can be classified as type of occupational hazard or environmental hazard. Physical hazards can cause harm with physical contact and threaten your physical safety such as fires, explosion, and mechanical related. How can we control or prevent it? By providing safety equipment to employees that reduces their exposure to the physical safety hazards. By use protective equipment for noises and vibrations present in the workplace. Place safety signages or barriers in the areas with hazards such as radiations, microwaves, or something that can cause fires and explosions. Provide proper ventilation and air conditioning for employees. Train employees to recognize the workplace and to avoid major accidents. Employee. Chemical hazard. Chemical hazard are substances used at work that are potentially hazardous to health. Chemical hazards and toxic substances pose a wide range of health hazards such as irritation, sensitivity, and carcinogenicity, and physical hazards such as flammability, corrosion, and explosives. And examples of chemical hazards are pesticides, acids, and cleaning products. How can we control or prevent it? By handling smaller quantities of dangerous and reactive chemicals. Spending less time in areas of exposure. Use chemical protective clothing. Use gloves and eyewear protection. Rotate job assignments so that workers are not overexposed to hazardous chemicals. Biological hazards. Biological hazards, a biological substance that poses a threat to the health of the living organisms, primarily human. Biological hazard is any risk that comes from the biosphere of people, plants, and animals, can be considered as biological hazards. Examples of biological hazards are fungi, virus, and bacteria. How can we control or prevent it? By regular cleaning and sterilizing the utensils and the workplace. Observing personal hygiene is the most important of all. Wear proper clothing attire. Also, observing time and temperature is important. Proper storage of foods. Psychological hazards. Psychological hazards affect the psychological and the physical well-being of the workers. Occupational hazard related to the way work is designed, organized, and managed, as well as the economic and social context of the work. Examples of psychological hazards are stress, anxiety, and high emotional demands. How can we control or prevent it? Offer the employees some psychological counseling and help. Enable the trained to improve work-related skills. Develop supportive systems. Also creating possibilities for communicating and supporting one another. Safety hazards. Safety hazards are hazards that create unsafe working conditions. For example, exposed wires or a damaged carpet might result in a tripping hazard. These are sometimes included under the category of physical hazards. Examples of safety hazards are spills. Spills could cause slip, trip, or fall in the workplace and result in physical and mental impacts on an injured employee. Faulty cords. This could pose a risk of electric shock, burns, and fires. Unguarded machinery. Unguarded moving machinery parts pose a safety hazard as employees can sustain serious injury and fatalities if they were to accidentally come into contact with them. How can we control or prevent it? Turn the power off. There is one important thing to remember when working with any electrical device. Turn it off. Lock out, tag out, or lot work. Ensure that anyone who works on electrical equipment is familiar with the proper lockout and tag out procedures. Stay away from wires. Check to see if there are any electrical power lines in the area where an employee is working, to ensure personnel avoids contact with them. Maintain equipment. Using old equipment or equipment that is not well maintained leads to electrical hazards too. Wear personal protective equipment or PPE. Anyone who is working with electrical equipment or in an area where an electric shock is possible needs to wear necessary PPE. Ergonomic risk. Ergonomic hazards are the result of physical factors that can result in musculoskeletal injuries. They can be found in every workplace and, if not managed correctly, can have significant long and short-term impacts on your employees' health and well-being. Musculoskeletal injuries are those that affect the musculoskeletal system, including damage to muscles, tendons, bones, joints, ligaments, nerves, and blood vessels. Some examples of ergonomic risk is manual handling, use of display screen equipment, and vibrations. How can we control or prevent it? by limiting employee exertion by using equipment for heavy lifting. Provide employees with break periods that help to reduce short-term strain. Label any heavy loads with their weight amount. Store objects and tools where employees can retrieve them while maintaining neutral position. By redesigning workspaces to accommodate individuals in order to reduce strain and improve posture. That's the end of my video presentation. Again, I'm Allgemeine Guinness with Delgado from BSHM 1103. Thank you for watching!